Welcome to StoryAnalyzer, an application that blends natural language processing with data visualization to demonstrate the maxim, a picture tells 1,000 words. StoryAnalyzer is an application that takes raw text in the form of a story narrative as input and produces a dashboard. And this dashboard contains several visualizations that helps you to navigate through the story. And if you have large documents with complex storylines, a piece of software like that can come in very handy. Over the past year or so, I have applied StoryAnalyzer to many documents that come out of the legal and government world having to do with events that took place in Washington, D.C. over the last year. And the first set of documents that I had focused on was documents having to do with the Mueller report. And in this video, I'm going to focus on these documents, but I'd also like to point out that I have several other dashboards from the Horowitz report, from the House impeachment report, some from the White House responses to the House impeachment, various impeachment testimonies, and even the COVID narrative timelines, and as a matter of fact, even some dashboards from Wikipedia articles and other news reports as well. The website where you can get all this stuff is simply called StoryAnalyzer.org, and it'll take you right to this page. As I said, there are various sections. There's also a section on if you'd like to get some documentation on how to use it. There's this section as well. And each of these sections you can open and close, as you can see. And I'm going to focus on the Mueller report. Of course, the Mueller report has gained in relevance again recently. I'm creating this video in August of 2020, and it kind of died down a little bit after Mueller's testimony a year ago. But now it's come to light again, partly because it looks like he might be coming to testify to the Senate, and partly also because the Senate intelligence report was just released, which corroborates in a lot of ways what's said in the Mueller report and even goes a little bit further. So I thought it would be timely to revisit this Mueller report. So I'm going to just open up one of the dashboards. The entire Mueller report was over 400 pages, 450 pages or so, and too big for a single dashboard. So we broke it up. My research assistants and I broke it up into several sections. And let me just pick a section. I'll pick the Trump Tower Moscow project, which had to do with Volume 1 has to do with Russian activities. Volume 2 has to do with obstruction of justice kinds of things. Let's start with Trump Tower Moscow project and see what's going on here. By the way, you can go to the Mueller report. I have a link to the report itself, and you can read and compare. So I'm going to go to here. And so what we see is a dashboard that is composed of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. The first section, make it a little bit bigger here. The first section is basically on the left is the entire text of the entire thing. And as you can see, as I hover over a sentence, it becomes highlighted. And we have color coding going on. Green refers to dates, blue refers to people, red refers to groups, yellow refers to places. So some of this color coding will become familiar with you as you progress through it. So one of the sections is just the narrative and highlighted information. This next section has visualizations having to do with the main actors in the story and how they interact with each other. And we can see lists of people, and they're listed in terms of their overall impact. So in this case, Michael Cohen is a very big player here. So is Felix Sater. And then there's Trump as the third major player. And you can see as I hover over one of these, other things are taking place. For example, the sentences where Michael Cohen appears are showing. And also, you'll notice that in these visualizations, something takes place too. This visualization right here that I'm circling with my arrow here is called a chord visualization. And around the band of this circle are the main characters. The blue are people and the red are groups. And you can see what happens, and you can see that when I hover over it, it's showing all the interactions that Michael Cohen has. Between one person and another are interactions that take place. So here's actions that took place between Michael Cohen and Felix Sater. So you can see who's doing what with whom in the story. This is another picture called a narrative web, which is also showing similar things as well. Another section of the dashboard is dates and times. And dates and times has a timeline, and it also has a word cloud of the major dates and times that things take place. And I can progress through the timeline. I can kind of zoom in on it as well. And as I hover over or select one of these items, you can see the sentences that have to do with when these things took place. So here we have late summer of 2015. Here we have August 18th of 2015, and we can see what happened then. So you can see when things took place. You can also see where things took place because I have locations. And so here we have a map, and I can see, for example, what took place in Moscow. And so here we have all the sentences that have to do with Moscow as well. Now, in a story, there are subjects that perform actions, and there are objects on which the actions are performed or that are affected by those actions, and there are the actions themselves. So here we have a word cloud that enables us to see that sort of thing. And as I hover over a word in the word cloud, we can see if these are the actions that take place, and we can see when the action took place and who did it and who was affected by it. Or if I want to see, for example, what did Michael Cohen do? Here's Michael Cohen, and these were all the things that Michael Cohen did, and these were all the folks that were affected by what Michael Cohen did. And then we also have another section that has verbs and nouns, and if I want to focus on a particular word, I can. And every time I select something, you can see the sentences, the relevant sentences for that word. So these dashboards are helpful in navigating through complex narrative documents. So I have all of these dashboards of all the individual sections. And recently I created an overview dashboard that kind of gives a bird's eye view of the entire report. And we can click on this link and go to that. This has different kind of visualizations. This visualization is called a tree map. The rectangles are representing either people or groups, blue and red as before. The size of the rectangle kind of indicates how big of an actor this is. So let's see, here's Comey. I hovered over Comey. Everybody that Comey interacts with is now in gray. And if I select Comey, I can see all of the sentences in all of the different documents that have to do with Comey. And Comey appears in all of these documents. I can similarly do something with a calendar here. So if I want to know what happened when, and typically these red ones have a lot of stuff going on. So you can see what happened based on a timeline. And also we have word clouds of the main nouns that come up, like investigation comes up a lot of times, email, statement, verbs as well, and adjectives as well. And for each of these, if I want to look at Don McGann, for example, I can find out where are the documents that he comes up in. Here's a document where he comes up in. If I go to it, I get to the dashboard again, and I can find him in here. So here's how StoryAnalyzer works. And as I said, there's lots of dashboards here that you can play with. And I hope you enjoy playing with them. Why is that? Damn it.